Toliana Chalisva, and this is Patriots Must Rise. I work graveyard, so this is probably broadcasting live on a weird schedule for a whole lot of people. And I apologize about that. But I believe that these messages need to go out, especially in today's world. Somebody texted me when Hamas invaded Israel that Hamas can't be seriously, this actually happened. I cannot believe the ignorance or the foolishness of the statement. But seriously, somebody said Hamas cannot be a terrorist group because they were elected into power. Okay, without going on to this huge rant about how the Democrat Party has been using terrorist groups for the past 200 years to influence elections. Let's actually talk about the literal definition of terrorist. Okay, a terrorist is somebody that is willing to sacrifice innocent civilian lives in mass numbers to get a point across. Okay? We saw that in Israel. We saw that with Black Lives Matter. We see that with Antifa constantly. Beyond that, the leaders of Hamas have repeatedly said that we love death like our enemies love life. This is a sentiment that's a little bit extreme even for the far left of America. And yet the far left is still supporting Hamas. Why is it that the far left is still supporting Hamas? Well, there are two classifications in my mind of the Democrat. There's the zombie, the mindless drone that is constantly repeating the echo chamber of the Democrat leadership. The ones I call the woke-tards. Then there's the leadership. The ones I call traitors. Traitors to freedom, traitors to America, traitors to the world. When the traitors actually go for something, they have to use the masses to drum up support for whatever it is that they are trying to achieve. Because ironically enough, there are still elements of an elected republic in America. An elected republic that the Democrat Party absolutely hates because it means that they have documents coming on. What's this?
Ice cream?
Oh, damn. All right. They have.
I figured you might like some.
Well, thank you. They have you okay? They have a constitution that's getting in the way of everything that they have ever wanted to do in America. That's why they were always saying that the Constitution needs to be a living document. Make one thing very clear. The Constitution is a living document. It's also written in black and white. There's no room for interpretation according to the current positions of our population. Right to bear arms shall not be infringed, black and white. There is no room for interpretation. The government gets involved. It's time to actually start shooting elected officials. Then you have another issue. Okay, even the most extreme wotards on the left are not going to support the total destruction of America simply because it's their home. So they need conflict in other places. It's good. They need conflict in other places to actually undermine what we're doing here in America. Why is this important? Because the globalists cannot actually achieve their agenda if the shining city on the hill still exists. If the last beacon of hope in the world for any substantial freedom and individual rights still exists, there's always going to be resistance at the international level, at the plebeian level. When the common man starts standing up against the elite because the masses are actually so much higher, the sheer number of population that actually want their freedom is so much higher, they know that they don't have a chance. It doesn't matter if they have nukes. It doesn't matter if they have F-15s, according to Joe Biden. We've got hand drills to take out gas tanks. We've got the knowledge that built those devices. And that's what people need to keep in mind. The people that were elected to supposedly secure our freedom work for us. January 6th has been constantly examined and re-examined by people on both sides. I personally do not think they went far enough. I think if the establishment wanted or actually felt that they had a stupid enough population to believe that Joe Biden was ever elected, they deserved to have Capitol Hill destroyed and that dome dropped on Congress with every one of them dead. The few good Republicans in Congress the loss of them wouldn't have been anything more than collateral damage. There is no loss unless you give up your freedom. And on January 6th, we actually did give up our freedom because we stood down. We had millions of people on the ground. If we actually wanted to take the Capitol, if it was anything more than a peaceful protest, unlike Antifa or Black Lives Matter during the summer just before, for the George Floyd riots destroying cities all over America, all we had to do is resist, sacrifice a couple thousand men and women as they get shot, and the military and police no longer have ammunition. Then we just start beating them to death. It's happened before. It will happen again. It should have happened on January 6th. The reason that we have these race conflicts constantly coming up by the left is because the elite do not want us to actually unite and see who actually the enemy is. So how do we defeat almost 180 years of absolute tyranny? When America was first founded, we actually had freedom. And then the Democrat Party was formed. A two-party system was never actually the intent of the founding fathers. In fact, a two-party system is exactly what the founding fathers were fighting against. The Whigs, the Tories, the Democrats, the Republicans, not new ideas. Not new ideas at all. We need to put down the identities of Republican and Democrat and actually realize that the people in charge don't care who you are. They don't care if you live or die. As long as you're lining their pocket with your taxes. So I don't care how you do it. Figure out ways to stop paying taxes. Because an army that isn't funded, an army that can't even supply bullets or boots for their soldiers, is not going to fight. And they're never going to willfully want to fight the population that happens to represent their brothers and sisters. Now, somebody says, and I've heard it over and over again, that where was I? Oh yeah. If they are willing to fight their brothers and sisters, it's not usually about a willful intent to do so. I honestly believe that the vaccine for COVID and the mass push to get everybody vaccinated had a lot more sinister reasoning behind it than just an exercise in obedience. Mike Jones and I went into a restaurant with his wife and injected the Pfizer vaccine into raw meat after sticking it into a frozen tray. At one of those Mongolian grill buffet things. And it was interesting. After an app was turned on and a certain frequency was broadcast on 5G, by the way, the infected meat actually started spasming to the beat of the music that Mike's phone was playing. So who are the people that actually took the jab? There were a couple of outliers on the right that were forced to do it for professional reasons to keep their job. But for the most part, you had the woketards, the zombies, the ones that never actually thought for a second that the government would lie to them. So you have a predisposed hatred for the conservative already there. And now you have a vaccine that nobody seems to understand except for a handful of people that seems to actually shed where people can breathe on you and you get the traits of the vaccine even if you're not vaccinated. And the muscle tissue of that person that was actually vaccinated responds to exterior physical commands. Are we looking at a zombie apocalypse? Keep in mind that this is the same party that inflicted the bubonic plague on the American people to get JFK elected. I know, I'm going too far. But am I? Simple Google search. All you have to do is look up every 4 years what global pandemic has actually struck and when it started. It always starts at the beginning of the election cycle of a general election for America. For the past 102 years, as far as I went for that research. But it's pretty simple to figure out how people have been manipulated. Like the poster in the background says, we've got another scary pandemic. No, we've got another election. I'm not the only one that thinks so. So what do we do about this? We already know that America has systematically, in the past 4 years, pissed off China. Well, Russia was already pissed off at us. I mean, Putin flat out calls Joe Biden a worthless, lazy dog, implying that he's not even worth the food that you're going to feed that dog. And put it in the chat if anybody actually disagrees with me about that statement, because I don't agree with him, or I don't disagree that Joe Biden is that worthless. So what can we do about it? We already know that the election not only was rigged, it was rigged for Obama. It was rigged for Clinton, Hillary, not Bill. The problem with the 2016 election, and the reason that Hillary was so adamant that she won, was because she was told that she was going to win. It was her turn. The outlier was the fact that every American that actually has a job, and there is a big disqualifier there. Okay? If you do not provide a service to society, if you actually do not form a legitimate function in society, you should not have a right to vote. Therefore, everybody on welfare should be disqualified automatically to vote. The reason is that the Democrats under LBJ literally designed the welfare system to keep you trapped in the system in order to make it so you would not vote against the person that would continue your services that you were receiving. So become as independent as possible so you're not tempted to ever vote for a Democrat. And if you are tempted, or if you know anybody that is tempted to vote for a Democrat, maybe you should rig their car to blow up. And for the YouTube algorithm, yes, I said it. Block me if you want to. But interesting enough, YouTube has not been blocking me. I just didn't understand how this new live software works, and I didn't set it up right. I have to admit it.
Sorry, little goofy.
I'm still learning. And then the elf in the background is my wife. But
Good.
Hi, Susie. Thank you. Yes, it was good. All right. So what do we do about this? How can we undermine the positions of the establishment that unfortunately our ancestors created in specifically to destroy America. I lean toward Bitcoin. I lean toward real estate. Okay? Have yourself an established income beyond anything that could be eliminated, like an hourly wage job. Don't be dependent on the one paycheck. Sometimes that's a little bit far-fetched, but it's true.
I need to go to the trip. Finish drinking them. It's like
I'm being told,
wine.
yeah, whatever. Okay,
Honey, this has still got like that much in it.
no, it doesn't. Anyway, all right. So we have to establish a foundation of a monthly income that is not actually dependent on whether or not you're popular enough at your job in order to keep your job. Because the reality is, in America, our employment is basically a popularity contest. Popular for your capabilities, popular for how well liked you are in that position, and so on. At least at the real world level. For some reason, we don't have term limits for Congress. I personally think that they need a report card every quarter, every 4 months. And if they get a vote of no confidence on any issue, they're up for re-election. And if it happens 3 times, they're automatically exterminated. And by exterminated, I mean executed. Not let's not play this game where they can be reelected. Let's just take them out of the pool. Because if they are stupid enough to betray America, they should see the hangman's noose. And yes, I'm talking to you, AOC. That's another thing. Why is it that we don't have an IQ test for somebody running for some of the most powerful positions in America? I mean, seriously, Nancy Pelosi, an IQ of 60. AOC, an IQ of 35. AOC is a fucking bartender. She didn't even go to law school. And yet, this bartender that is obviously retarded, we are giving permission to write laws for America. There is a reason that common sense exists. Why don't we use it? It shouldn't be that difficult for people to understand that if you're going to elect the scumbags simply because they know how to talk, that you're probably going to get total garbage out of their performance. So we know the electoral system is broken. We know that the Democrats have been cheating for the past 150 years at least. We know that they've never been above using biological warfare against the American people. Hell, they nuked South Dakota. I'll put a link in the description for that. It's funny as hell, but they did. They literally dropped a nuclear bomb on South Dakota. But that's just incompetence. I'm talking about intentional destruction of America, which Joe Biden actually ran on in 2020. Think about it. Joe Biden literally ran on, if you elect me, I will fundamentally change America. We know now that what he literally meant was, I will destroy America. Do we want that? Do we want our children to be asking questions? Why is it that I need to feel guilty for the color of my skin because my ancestors owned slaves when my grandfather wasn't even in the country until his 60s? There should be something inherently wrong with that logical argument. But apparently, educators don't think so. Parents need to be able to stand up, go into the classroom of their child, pull the teacher out of the classroom and start bashing the head in of that teacher right in front of the class the moment that they start talking about genders. Yes, YouTube, you're probably going to ban me, but I don't give a flying fuck. Go fuck yourself. Okay. Seriously. We do not have anything less than a responsibility for the upbringing of the future of this country. Our country is so screwed up because we have 4 generations behind me that literally started talking about timeouts. Don't you can't discipline your child at all. It is not your responsibility to discipline your child. Leave that to the teachers. Okay. Now we got retail companies going bankrupt because of shoplifting at such a high level that we literally are not able to keep industry in America. That's intentional, obviously. Okay. We know that companies like Amazon and Walmart benefited greatly from these senseless lockdowns because people were at home. They couldn't go out and go shopping. So the small business owner, which historically has always been the backbone of resistance in America, in any country, it is the small business owner that is able to just hand ammunition and guns over to the people that will be fighting for their freedom and not put it on the books. I don't know what happened to that. See that broken window? Somebody came in here in the dark of night. And yet conveniently everything that was handed over happened to be the everything that the people would need to be able to make it through a harsh winter on the cold ground, feed themselves, and enough ammunition to fight a few battles. So stock up on ammunition, stock up on everything that you possibly can, because what we are actually seeing is biblical. Revelation speaks of wars and rumors of wars in the last days. I'm not saying that these are the last days, but what I am saying is everything is intentional. Everything that we are seeing here has been designed to pad the pockets of those involved in the military-industrial complex throughout NATO. When this is over, the leaders of NATO need to be brought up for international war crimes, and not brought up to the UN. The UN is just as guilty as the NATO alliance. Brought up in the court of public opinion and literally executed in the streets of their respective towns. The children of the parents that had been executed by the people that started these wars should be allowed to skin these pigs alive and pour sulfuric acid over the wounds. Yeah, I like that. Okay, that's what I have for tonight. I'm going to be streaming probably Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday night, maybe Thursday. That's up in the air. I hope you like what you're hearing. I know I get a little bit harsh sometimes, but I'm just getting real. The reality is that we can't let the parties separate us. We can't let the media divide us because of race or class. If we actually value freedom in this world, we have to recognize that every subtle movement in this war has to be calculated. Don't take time off from work if you can't afford the next 100 rounds for your gun. Don't take time off from work if you can't buy a little bit of extra food that isn't that isn't going to rot on the shelf, because you're going to need it. Take first aid classes. Definitely going to need it. So until next time, I'm Anatoliana Tralisova. Live free, die well. And unless your neighbor is a Democrat, love your neighbor as Christ loved you. If they are a Democrat, put a grenade in their pocket.